What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Yee Yee podcast. It is episode 13 now. It is June 9th, and we're going to do a little bit something different today. We're going to do a business Q&A question. So we get a lot of questions about what it takes to run a business, the day in and day out of what we're doing here. And so I think that this is a little bit overdue to do a podcast like this.
Yeah, it should be fun. We got Braxton, who we go... How long have we known you, Braxton?
Well, I feel like I actually knew Hayden back in college, at least on a...
Yeah, I think we met at some point, but we didn't realize it. And now we're kind of working in the same universe.
Yeah. So we got connected through a college buddy, probably 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to step back a little bit, Parker and I run Yee Yee Apparel. Parker is the CEO at Yee Yee Apparel. My name is Hayden. I run the marketing. People were mean in the comments this last week. They're like, what does that guy do? So I guess I need to explain a little bit more. And then Braxton has a company that is in the e-commerce universe just like we are, and he does a lot of the same day-to-day stuff. So I'm going to let Braxton explain a little bit about himself, your past, what led you to here, and then your company as well.
Yeah, so back at Texas Tech in 2017, I was working on a class project in this entrepreneurship class, came up with the idea to invent the world's most comfortable Apple Watch band. And at the time, we were just basically using socks and like crew sock material and stitching it onto little hardware pieces to fit the Apple Watch. And nobody was doing anything interesting with Apple Watch bands. So we're like, let's just make cool Apple Watch bands. And it was just going to be a class project, and then, realized more and more and kind of dove into this whole idea of entrepreneurship and startups. And I was like, wait, this sounds awesome. I want to take this more seriously and maybe even just be able to drop out, ended up finishing school. But by the time I finished school, the business was already really, well, it was moving along. Yeah. And we were cruising. So we had been doing it for 2 years. And at this point, we just came up on our 4-year anniversary.
Awesome.
Back on Cinco de Mayo.
Nice. So, what did you get on the class project? What was the grade that you got on that class project whenever you first came up with the first Braxley band?
I want to say it was an A, but
yeah, because I know this story. It's not an A.
Yeah,
no, I want you to say it.
I don't remember. I don't remember what it exactly was, but it was
okay.
They were they did not believe in it.
Right, of course.
They didn't really get it. You gotta take whatever professors say or these academia institutions with a grain of salt, because they don't understand these hyper relevant shifts in e-commerce and in business now. You can't read a textbook from 2017 and expect that to teach you e-commerce in 2021.
Yeah. So that's kind of what Braxley Bands has been dubbed as the world's most comfortable Apple Watch band, correct?
Yeah, and we built it completely to be on our own Shopify store, so it's exclusive to our own website. So we're giving a full lifestyle brand experience where we're doing every design we come out with is completely limited edition, and we may reprint it, but basically once it's gone, it's gone. And we are really trying to make it feel like it's a little art piece, it's number one, more functionally the most comfortable, but then number two, it's hopefully if we can help it, it's the most stylish thing you can find out there as well.
If anything, y'all should just go to their website, because it's just an experience in itself.
It's weird. Yeah, there's a lot of really weird, quirky humor, little Easter eggs where you probably most people don't see, but there's little things that are just low key really really funny.
Yeah, I love y'all's marketing. And so it's only Apple Watch bands, correct? No other watch bands.
Correct.
So if you have an Apple Watch band, go to braxleybands.com. And grab a watch band. And I think that what's cool about what you guys too, so you said a little bit about the exclusivity around your products. It's somewhat similar to what our fans have come to know from us as well, because we do these launches. And then y'all have kind of adopted a little bit of that, right? You do a launch or whatever you want to call it, and then that Apple Watch band is sold, that Braxley band is sold out, correct? And it doesn't come back for the most part?
Yeah, I mean, if one was just super hot and everybody's really wanting it back, we'll restock it. But the idea is to have only about 24 styles at any given point and consistently cycle them, new ones in. So we call them seasons. So I think we're about to drop season 9.
Oh, that's cool. I like doing that, like a TV show rather than the spring launch 2021. Maybe we should do seasons.
Yeah, having it numbered. That's cool.
Season 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except all the good shows stop around like season 6, The Sopranos, The Wire, or whatever. So then you get too many.
It was a Yeezy thing.
Oh, really? You
Yeezy.
got that from Kanye?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Kanye, the fashion god.
I was actually looking at a few brands today and looking at the way they brand, like I was looking at a leggings company and they'll label it like the 2.0 or the 3.0, which is like not a new concept, but I was like for instance with our leggings, like we continually like adjust them a little bit, and so it's interesting to think about like the Yee Yee legging like 2.0 and then 2.5 or 3.0 or whatever. I was like, we should start doing that, because then also just helps. Number one, it's cool because you see like the progression of it, and then the other thing is it just helps differentiate from like past styles. Like I'm sure the like Braxley band in 2017 was probably different than the one that it is today.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because we're actually about to call our fabric the 2.0 because we've improved on it so much since the beginning. We want to tell people like, hey, like try it again. Like it doesn't stretch out anymore. It's a little thicker, a little more like has a little more structure to it.
It also sounds cool as hell. 2.0.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh. Like,
yeah.
You could just come right out of the gate with a product and just call it like the 5.0. And people are like, whoa, this is awesome.
Yeah. It's like, this is the first time you've ever made this. You're like, no, it's the 5.0.
So we took a lot of questions from you guys. I just want to say, like, we could have done this podcast with both of us, but Braxton and I have like bounced questions off of each other in the e-commerce world and in branding and in marketing over, the last 2+ years, and I've learned so much from you, and I think vice versa. Yeah. And so I was like, we got to have Braxton on for this because I feel like you can provide some good value. So these questions are going to be a little bit more business oriented, advice, maybe philosophical advice, maybe questions about our operations and different things like that, how we run social media, so all kinds of stuff like that. So Braxton will lend some of his opinions and what he's learned as well, and then we'll try to do the same, and then go from there. Hopefully we provide some value. So first question, I am very reserved. How can I promote my business without feeling uncomfortable? Parker, what do you think on that? Because you're a little bit more quiet than I am, apparently.
I'm so scared right now.
Is what everybody in the comments tells me. So what do you think for someone that's reserved but that wants to promote their business? It sounds like it's a self business, probably an entrepreneur. What would you give advice for that?
I guess it depends on what they mean by reserved. If they mean, I'll answer it the best I can, but like if you're just reserved in that you don't want to show your face on camera, then that's totally fine. Like you can have a successful business and not do video. Like you could do audio, or you could do podcasts, or you could do a blog, or you could do photography, and just find out like what your niche is and like work on it and progressively get better at it, and then figure out what's working and what's not. But if you're reserved, like you don't have to be a type A personality just to have success in business, in my mind.
What do you think?
I think you got to overcome that to some degree.
Yeah.
And if you believe in the business strong enough, then you're going to have to overcome your reservation of publicly being out there, and you just have to be like, this is me now. This is who I am. This business that I'm starting is me. Everybody see what I'm doing. Because it's like, it can be a scary thing to be like, oh, it's a project. Like, what if people don't like it? They're criticizing. You got to get rid of whatever anybody could possibly think about you and the business, and just let it go.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I think if you really believe in something at some point, you've got to take a dive. I think it may have been on Shark Tank actually, or something. There was someone that had this idea that they had been crushing it for a little while in sales and growing their community, and they hadn't quit their full-time job, and no one wanted to invest in that person because they hadn't taken the plunge yet. And they asked them, well, do you not truly believe in it? And so I understand that if you're doing something on the side, like you have to, you have to keep your full-time job that's putting food on the table. But that reminds me a little bit of this question is like, at some point you're going to have to take that dive. Like if you truly believe in whatever product or business or whatever you have to go all in on it,
I once heard someone say that a lot of people would rather be a writer that no one's ever heard of than a writer that people don't like or talk down about. So it's like, is that reservation that you're scared that people are going to talk down on you? Yeah. Or it's like people could hate this podcast but it's like, would you rather not have a podcast or have a podcast that some people are going to talk down
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. We talked about the other day. I mean, I remember the days whenever we would mess up an order and people would be like, it's okay. I know that we would miss someone's birthday or something. It happens rarely where we have a very good, correct order rate, but we would mess up an order. It would be for a birthday of a customer and it wouldn't come in time. And the email that they would send was like, guys, I know y'all are trying so hard. It's a family business, blah, blah, blah. Now we still get those and those are nice. Thank you guys. But we get a lot of mean, mad people. And that's not a bad thing. That means that you're growing, you're reaching new people now. I think that whenever you're starting to get a little bit more negativity, that sometimes is a good thing, you know? Okay. Next question. This is a good one. I'm excited for this one. As younger professionals, how have you grown credibility in growing a company? So the question's a little bit weird, but as a young professional, I think what they're asking is, how do you command respect in a room of, sometimes in business, it can tend to be people that are a little bit older than us. First of all, how old are you?
25.
And I'm 26 and you are?
28.
Okay, so we're all in mid to upper 20s. So what would
longer
your
mid 20s.
Yeah.
Thanks
yeah.
a lot.
Once you hit 20,
So we're all like mid to upper
20s. I still got a year left in me. So, so Braxton, what would you say that you're able to command respect from maybe elder businessmen, I guess?
What I would say is real recognize real. So like anybody who doesn't respect you because of your age.
Yeah.
Can we cuss on here?
We try to keep it to a minimum, but yeah.
Let them. Don't worry about that.
We know
right?
what you mean.
You know?
Yeah. They don't matter.
Yeah. Like so that's what somebody told me early on. I was like always, worried about that. Like, well, I'm so young. Like, is anybody going to take me seriously? It's like, if they don't take you seriously, then like they're idiots, because what you're doing is serious, and the age doesn't matter anymore when it comes to e-commerce or business and entrepreneurship in general. So people will respect you regardless of your age, I think, if what you're doing is legit.
Yeah, we talked about it a few weeks ago about how there are 17-year-olds building multi-million-dollar brands on TikTok. And TikTok is here to stay, y'all. Like, I just think of that as an example. And there's so many old people that think it's going to be a phase or that it's not worth the time. I mean, I know businesses right now that, when we've had this conversation, like there are businesses out there that could crush on TikTok, and they say, oh, it's just a lot of work. It's another social media app. It is. I get it. It sucks as a marketer, it sucks to be like, oh, another social media app that I have to keep up with. But it's important and it's crushing right now. Mm-hmm. So there's young people right now building businesses off of a social media app while there are older people maybe struggling to keep a business afloat,
Yep.
What has been the biggest bump in the road for your business? I'll let Parker answer that.
Braxton, do you have anything on that while I think on it?
Yeah, we early on we were sourcing all this fabric from a website that was just making like printed elastic that we were just buying it from at a need basis or whatever. And then one day it was all out of stock, and realized what they were doing was they were actually knocking us off. They figured out what we were doing with the fabric and then decided to put them on their own website. It's out of China, like complete knockoff, and took it all out of stock. So we're like, wait, are we out of business now because we can't get this material we were using? Ended up being a blessing in disguise because it forced us to work with we had to go on this like crazy deep dive into like, how can we find this again? Found the company that we're working with now, that we've worked with for the last 3 years. It's been phenomenal, and we would have never found them and been able to grow like we did if we didn't hit that bump in the road where like basically got hit with a Instagram ad one day of a Apple Watch band that looked like mine but wasn't. Oh. And then all of a sudden go on the store we used to buy this on, and it was all out of stock.
I bet your heart sunk when
I was like,
you saw
we're
that
done.
ad.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that comes to top of mind?
I would say just the initial mindset that I had when I first started, and I was the only employee, and that shift that you have to have of like getting out of like the sarcophagus of your comfort zone of like, okay, where do we want to go? And just that initial plunge of realizing that you're the bottleneck, and it's like, I can't be sitting back here and like breaking down boxes in the warehouse forever. Like, getting over that fear of I have to hire somebody else to help. And for whatever reason, for me, that was just such a weird, like, how do I teach? How am I going to, I have to interview somebody, or I posted, where do you even post a job listing? And like, just that thought of like, it's just you, and like, you're able to do things well, but then sit back and like get out of your comfort zone and then have an honest conversation with yourself of like, I have to hire somebody else to help with this stuff. And kind of goes back to the previous question of like, I have no credibility. I was like 23 or 24 at the time. It's like, who is going to like want to work underneath me? Who am I to like, like, it's just a lot of responsibility having someone else's livelihood underneath you. And so just, that was the biggest bump in the road for me, was just hiring those first couple of people on the distribution side, I think. And then being able to free up my time to focus on growing the company.
What is your favorite business podcast?
That's a good question. I don't think I have one favorite, because I think that I go into different styles. Like Tim Ferriss podcast is very broad, but like very inspirational. Hearing like I was just finishing up the founder of Lululemon.
Oh yeah, dude,
his whole
that
origin
guy
story.
is awesome.
Yeah,
I love him. The founder of Lululemon. He was on How I Built This with Guy Raz, which is another great business podcast. But he just has he has an attitude that most people would not expect from the founder of Lululemon. Like, I don't care at all. Like, he's been in the middle of some controversy before, but I think he probably leans a little bit right and some of the stuff he says, but he is an awesome listen.
Definitely. But then if we're going more specific to like Shopify and e-commerce, like the Unofficial Shopify podcast, it's just gems, e-commerce fuel.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a lot of business ones. There's probably not a lot of people that send in questions that are necessarily e-commerce, but if you are, Unofficial Shopify podcast with Kurt Elster has taught me so much. I've learned so much of what I know in this business from him, and he just seems like an all-around likable guy. And then there's a lot of what do you have one that's like more business broad?
What's the one with Guy Raz?
That's it. How I Built This.
Oh no, not that one. I just recognize that name. There's another if you just search e-commerce podcast on not that any of y'all are going to want to listen to an e-commerce podcast.
I don't know. You never know.
I don't even know why I say that. But my favorite is the one, and obviously it's not saying much if I don't remember the name of it yet. I haven't listened to it in a couple months, but it is very helpful if you just search e-commerce on Apple Podcasts or whatever.
What about self-development?
It's got like a light bulb on it. Self-development, honestly, I just listen to sermons. I love John Piper and R.C. Sproul, and for personal development, you can't get much better than that.
By the way, the one you're thinking of is Austin Bronner and some other guy, and they're Austin, Texas guys. So is
it called E-commerce Influence?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Austin, I can't remember the other guy's name. I've been listening to Token CEO lately with Erica Nardini, who's the CEO of Barstool Sports, and I really like it because she talks a little bit about like current events, but then she has on employees from within the company, and Barstool's gotten huge, and so they talk about a lot of different stuff, and that's cool because everyone wants to have on like huge guests at that level of whenever you're Barstool Sports, but she just has people in the office, and I've learned a lot from running a company, the marketing side, and like where the content industry is headed. So I like that one a lot. We're gonna go ahead and take a break. Yeah, we're gonna take a break. See y'all in a minute. Hey guys, we were just talking in the break, and we think that some of the members of Yee Yee Nation should get themselves a Braxley band. So I talked to Braxton. If you go to braxleybands.com right now and use code Yee Yee, you're going to get 20% off any band in the store. But there's a catch. There's only 20 codes available. So as soon as 20 people use this code, it's done. You can't get an Apple Watch band. So make sure you go to braxleybands.com, use code Yee Yee for 20% off. All right, guys, welcome back. We have Braxton on. We're going to roll a little bit more into questions about operations and kind of how our companies work, how Braxley bands work. And it's very interesting because we're quite different in a lot of our operations and how we ship orders and that whole shebang. Like, we're very different than Braxley bands. So first question is pretty simple. What website do y'all use for your store?
Shopify.
Shopify all around.
So what does that
like-
mean for people who don't know what that means? What website do you use?
So, oh yeah, great question. I need to oversimplify this sometimes. So if you're out there right now and you're thinking of selling a product of any sort, it can be a physical product, it can be a digital product, whatever. I would say to use Shopify. And Shopify is a platform that hosts your website. It deals with the entire checkout service. There's a lot of different types of these, and there's a lot of different ones out there, but I swear up and down by Shopify. It's basically what everyone in the e-commerce industry uses for the most part, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean,
it's
everyone
the place to
uses
be.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about selling something, go to Shopify. They're great, and we just love using Shopify. We used to not be on Shopify whenever I first started working here. I wasn't really here for much of that time because we quickly switched over, but Parker knows about some other websites that aren't that great.
Yeah, Shopify is much more user friendly. Even I can figure it out. So
It doesn't matter if you're selling like 2 products a day or 0 products a day or whatever. Like it is great for any size of business. So I would say to go to Shopify. Braxton, how many employees do you have?
Technically, I guess including myself, 4.
Okay. And what does
So
everybody do?
Yeah, so that's hard to really even
Right.
explain, you know, because everybody just kind of takes on the tasks that need to be done. But we have a customer service guy in the Philippines who does all the customer service for us, knocks it out of the park. We have Grant Andrews, co-founder. He is mostly, the way we used to explain it was Grant is focused on today and I'm focused on tomorrow.
Oh, I like that.
And then my brother came on this beginning of this year, and he's basically all like numbers. So like finances, data, all that good stuff.
And that was a big leap for y'all to hire your brother as another full-time employee, right?
Yeah, but it's been really great because it's taken a lot of the load off my shoulders, the stuff that would kind of drain my energy. So now I can show up better for a lot of the things that I love to do.
Yeah, right. You're a big picture guy. You always have been. You're the creative juices. You're, like you said, you're tomorrow. You're like the innovative thinker, I feel like, out of your company. What would you say for us? Because ours is a little bit different, our setup with employees.
Granger and Tyler are founders, and so Granger's more just focused on his personal brand and like his YouTube channel and that sort of thing, and building his music career and his personal brand. And then Tyler is here and he's thinking about tomorrow, so similar to you, Braxton. And then I'm more day-to-day operations here. So Granger, Tyler, myself, Hayden, you run all our marketing. Brian is our head of media, and then Ben is all of our socials. And then that's it for the brand side. And then we have TJ who does like our SEO and our YouTube ads and our Google ad campaigns. And then I have 3 or 4 different freelance graphic designers that work on the product development side, and then like 10 vendors on the product side that I work with. And then I'm trying to make sure I don't forget anybody.
I think that's everybody.
On
like
the distribution side, we have Maddie who does all of our customer service, Lulu who's a full-time shipper, and Caleb who's warehouse manager.
Yeah, I think a lot of us like have. It's like obviously you have manufacturer people that you work with. They're not necessarily employees, but it seems like it sometimes whenever you're talking to these people every single day.
Yeah, there's a lot of people involved with the business. Right. I mean, you know, we got ad agency, email agency, PR agency, website agency, basically, right? They're on a retainer, and then everything in between. So yeah, there's a lot.
So what's interesting about the main, obviously there's a lot of differences, and every company's different in how they run it, but the main difference between Yee Yee Apparel and Braxley Bands is that we fulfill all of our orders in-house. Braxley Bands uses a third-party source, correct?
Yes.
And they're in Texas?
Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not too far down the road. We're all in the Austin area. So do you go up there often and just like check up on things?
Not really. There's no need to. But Grant and my brother are in Dallas now.
True.
So they're like, that's what's great is they can take care of that.
Yeah. And they don't just fulfill for you. They fulfill for tons of companies, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, like they know what they're doing. So there's pros and cons for both. Like we've gone back and forth before, and it's much harder, I would say, to fulfill yourself because, I mean, we have launches where we've got, a lot of orders, and then we'll have sometimes where it's like we're sending people home at 1 p.m. full-time and full-time shippers. So it's tough. We've gone back and forth. I think that we've got so much committed into shipping in-house, and it's important to provide jobs in like our local Georgetown area. But if we had to start over, I don't know what we would choose, honestly. It's tough.
Yeah, and both, I mean, that's not to say that finding a third party who's going to represent your business well isn't hard. Like, that's just a job in itself. Sometimes I wonder if I'm just like justifying my laziness by just sticking to in-house because I don't want to take the time and go find a 3PL that's going to be, really solid. And then you also have to deal with, instead of shipping all of your inventory here, you have to deal with shipping that inventory to your third party, letting them know exactly what it is. All of your purchase orders have to be in order and they need to know what's coming in. So, I mean, that's another hurdle in itself. There's definitely things that are beneficial about just having it sent directly to you, where you can be more lax about it versus like if you're just sending it to your fulfillment center, it's like, they're like, what the heck is this stuff? Like, it has to be barcoded and accounted for.
And what you're able to do, and I think what is perfect for you guys, is that you're able to focus on the creativity side of things more than like the logistical shipping side, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and there's no obligations for us to be in any location at any given time. Like we can pretty much be fully nomadic, or I don't have to be in Texas for the business to be operating.
Yeah, and you travel a lot, so it's nice.
Tim Ferriss over here.
Yeah. Shout out. Nice. If you're listening, Tim, I love you.
He will be one day.
Tim is an avid listener. To
He's our top fan. Next question. Do you think you'll ever open a retail store or only continue with online orders? And we get this one a lot. I think that there's two sides of this. There's the retail store, and then there's also, do you think you'll go heavily into retail? Because everyone thinks, yeah, you open up a Braxley band store or you open up the Yee Yee store, but the step before that is you put your product in retail, like JCPenney's or Bass Pro Shop or whatever. Neither of us I know that we're not in retail. You're not in retail either, right?
Nope.
So it's very interesting that neither of us are in retail, because a lot of the old way of thinking is to go straight into retail. I mean, e-commerce is a very new movement. So what would you say has been the reasoning behind y'all's choice to not be in retail at this moment?
Owning the customer experience and truly curating that. So everything from, the homepage where they first hopefully, see the aesthetics of the brand, and then get receiving all the quirky personality traits that our brand carries, and then then being able to attach them to our email list, and now they're able to get hit with these certain things. Like we just sent out one yesterday that's Apple Watch hacks that you may not have known about. So we're kind of educating people on how to even use their Apple Watch. So it's like establishing this real relationship with our customer, where if they say even just buy on Amazon, they're not getting anything like that. You don't even know what brand it is that you bought it from.
And there's certain things that people want to just buy on Amazon, like Tupperware. I just want to buy on Amazon. I say this because I just bought it on Amazon. I don't care what the brand is. I don't have a buy-in. We're obviously because we sold on Amazon for a little while, and we have the definition of a brand, a lifestyle brand, a community that people that they care about. And so we pulled out of Amazon, and the cuts are terrible. They take so much from it. But yeah, I mean, we could sell on Amazon. Y'all would. Ours is a little bit different. Y'all could crush on Amazon, but it's like, why?
We're still kind of thinking about it.
Really?
Yeah.
You own that experience whenever you're on the website. So whenever you do it yourself. So think about it this way. I was thinking about this the other day. I have a friend that is a huge fan of ranch water, the new, it's like a seltzer type of thing. And I was thinking about it this way. He buys ranch water all the time. He's got to be one of their top customers. Ranch water probably doesn't have any of his info. They can't reach him. They can't communicate with him because he just buys this in retail. And I know that alcohol is a retail-driven area, of course. But it's interesting that there are people out there that love a product and they've never bought it online. And so, or they've never bought it online. They've only gone to store. So, you have anything on that?
No, I'm the same way. I go back and forth with it every day if we should be on Amazon or not. Yeah. It's awesome to be able to control control the customer experience. And then that's just what differentiates you from every other Apple Watch brand. That's what differentiates us from the millions now. Everybody can start their own apparel brand. Everybody can print a logo on a t-shirt. So it's like, why in the world would I buy a Yee Yee shirt over this other shirt that's on Amazon when it's the same price and it's 2-day shipping? So I go back and forth with it. In regards to a retail store, would you ever open up a retail store? Have you ever thought about that?
Maybe once we establish other product offerings in our brand. So like we're prototyping a belt right now. We have made hat prototypes where like the adjustment, snapback or whatever is a elastic band, super comfortable.
Did you release those?
No, we just
Working
made
on
them
it?
like to see how it
Awesome.
was as a
That's
product.
such a good idea.
Yeah. So, but really, I think what we're gonna do is white label our fabric, which is like super sustainable material that you can kind of do anything with because it's recycled polyester. So it's literally made from water bottles, and then you can just print anything on it. And if we could just, so we're gonna call it Relastic. And Braxley Bands uses Relastic, even though it's like the Spider-Man facing the Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but like
that meme. Yeah.
But like the idea is, like Yee Yee hats could have Relastic, like Gore-Tex or something like that. Like in the hat, like, it goes around the.
Yeah. There's a million brands out there that are white labeling too that we don't even know about. Most people don't even know about that are just making tons of money.
For those that don't know, white labeling is when you take your product and you just remove your brand name, and hence creating a white label. And then so other brands and companies are able to use your product in either ways that it wasn't originally intended for, or just like in a new way. So like Braxley bands, you could take a Braxley band, take Braxley off of it, and then Braxton goes and hits up Flex Fit hats or a hat manufacturer and says, we have this awesome elastic, you should put it on the inside of your hat. And then he would sell it to them. Yeah. I mean, a retail store I think would be awesome to be able to have people there in person to like really experience it. We'll do a Yee Yee store one of these days because it's like if you can find someone to run it who knows what they're doing, and if you're able to at least break even or make maybe a little bit on it, then I think it just goes a long way for your business in ways that maybe you can't calculate on paper, but just having that in-person experience is cool.
I think also there's more to it than just a retail store. Like, I don't know if any of our listeners have ever been to the Yeti store in Austin, but man, it's awesome. And I'll probably get some crap for that because not all of our fans love Yeti. But the Yeti store, if you ever get the chance, you don't even have to buy anything because I know that it's astronomically priced, but it's an experience. It's not a store. Like, have you been in there?
Oh yeah, that's great.
So like a lot of times they have all kinds of, it's downtown Austin on South Congress, and they'll have music. They'll have someone playing music, and they've got like cornhole in the corner, and they've got like a huge thing in the wall that is like a cooler, because a lot of people will get custom made boats, like a lot of deep sea fishermen, and they'll have the Yeti put in on a bench instead of like seats, and kind of like as a live well or something, I don't know. And they have like a whole exhibit about that, and it's so cool just to like make it an experience. And I think whenever you're able to make a store an experience rather than a store, people want to buy more often. Like, people are tired of going into department stores and places and strip malls. Like, they just get tired of it. It's the same thing over again. You've seen it with e-commerce booming. So yeah, I think that's what the vision would be for our store. Probably Georgetown. Who knows?
Yeah, and I just think in a world full of where everything's so fast and 2-day shipping and just a click away, I think human beings just still like naturally just want to have that in-person connection and connect with people in a brand. And so to like be in that Yeti store, or like for us, we're so fortunate we have Granger touring. And so when someone goes to a Granger Smith concert and they hear the music and they see him yelling Yee Yee, and they meet other people wearing the stuff, it's like Braxton had an event the other day where he invited like a bunch of people. There's like 300 people, and he had a live band and like had like Braxley bands, like posters on the wall and like product and samples. And it's like, I feel so much more connected to your brand because of that event, and I want to wear it and support it. And so, yeah, in a world where everything's a click away, it's cool to still have that human connection. It's really important for brands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why so many companies, I mean, I keep using them as an example, but like a Barstool, they've put so much focus into live events. And that's actually something that we've talked about. It's no secret. We're working on Yee Yee Fest, and that's like a music festival, but it's a focus on influencers and content creators, and Granger just has all these friends that are content creators, and it's like, dude, what if we had a lineup that was some music artist, but like, why? No one's really done this. Like, why can't we put a lot of these content creators on here, and you come and you get to meet all of them? And then something that I've thought about a lot is like, I want to do like a fishing tournament, and it's like we'd have to start small, but like hit 4 different spots, huge lakes, and have fans sign up. And so say we're fishing at Lake Fork, which is a big fork in Texas, if you didn't know. And we have 100 spots, and fans can sign up. Like, you can be in this fishing tournament. There's all kinds of prizes. We get all kinds of different fishing influencers that are buddies with Granger. And so now you have 100 2-man teams, 200 people signing up, and they want to come compete. And when we do a Granger show at the end of the day, and like, it's just, I don't know, people want live events. You're going to see it over the next few months. Our demographic maybe hasn't stayed cooped up as much as a lot of other demographics in other states, but I think you're going to see it across the board. People are tired of just sitting inside. They're tired of wearing masks. They're out. They're getting out. They're doing their thing. Like, this is going to be the boom summer. So people want to do live events, and it's been obvious over the last year. What is y'all's busiest time of the year for orders?
Definitely the holidays. Yeah.
Us too.
We go nuts. It's a very giftable product.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's something that's very well known also in the e-com world, and just kind of just in selling anything, is that our Q4, which is half of October, November, December. Is that what that is? Q4. The end of the year is really crazy.
No one knows what it means. People just like thank you and then numbers.
Well, I know Q1 and I know Q4, but do not ask me what Q2 and Q3 are. Basically, it's quartered up of the year. Yeah, so of course the holidays are typically the best selling times. We also have, for us, Yee Yee Apparel, we have our fall launch in September, and so we like just parlay that into the holidays and Black Friday and everything else. So it's definitely that time of the year for most businesses. I would say 95% of businesses, that's their crazy time. However, unless they're like super product specific, like I guarantee you that sunglasses are hitting a spike right now, Yeah. So different products like that. Speaking of which, when are the sunglasses coming out?
I don't know. We're still waiting on our mold. To get it done right, it just takes a long time. And so hoping for a mold here in the next month or so. Our goal was to release them this fall, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not. We're working on it.
Yeah, we could have thrown out a really crappy pair of sunglasses, and we didn't want to do that. And so y'all know that we are committed to quality. So these sunglasses are coming. We're working hard on them, and they're going to be really, really good quality. What is y'all's pricing strategy and why? I want to ask you that.
Yeah, we actually recently raised our price from $29 to $32. People oftentimes complain that we're too expensive, but we're almost half the price of like Apple's cheapest band. Like Apple Watch bands range from like you can get them for like literally $6 on Amazon to like $250 depending on materials. So we actually really priced our strategy based on like Tim Ferriss model of like 6 to 10x margin, and like we're right now more around like a 7-8x margin.
Okay, and
that's like the healthy spot, because once you get rid of the customer acquisition costs and all these other things with overhead, like you have to be within 6 to 10x margin, or else you're not going to be profitable.
What does that mean for people who don't know? 6 to 10x margin.
Like if it costs you $5 to make it, you got to sell it for $30. That's a 6x margin.
But just multiplying your cost by 6,
yeah,
at least, yeah.
Yeah. What about us? Where do we come up with our pricing?
I don't know. No.
I don't know. I have no idea. I've been trying to figure that out for 3 years now.
I have a certain gross profit percentage that we try to hit at minimum, and then it's just a matter of looking at what competitors are doing. The market will always tell you what they're willing to pay. And so I do as low as I can so that it's affordable for everybody and enough so that we can stay in business. And it depends on the product too. Like I always just want it to be fair. Like if it's a really good quality product that took us 16 months to develop with really awesome materials, and it's going to be priced that way. Like we have a jacket that I've been working on for a year and a half that's releasing in September. That's probably going to be like $130 because they're very expensive to make and they took a lot of time and work, and it's going to be totally worth it. So Also just having common sense with it, be like, what would I be willing to pay for this?
Right. What is the toughest part of the process for you when designing a fully custom product? So Parker's, it's good timing because you've been doing a lot of this. Is it the back and forth?
The hardest thing initially is finding the manufacturer, because once you find the right manufacturer, then they make, I don't know what you think about this, Braxton, but for me, it's like kind of like a relationship where when you find the right person, it makes all of the other people, just makes it much more obvious that the prior people were just not a good fit. And so
Parker's still looking for his manufacturer.
I don't know what that's like. No. But yeah, recently we've just been able to network and find some of the top apparel manufacturers in the world, and just the level of professionalism and the sample process and stuff. But finding them is definitely the hardest part. And then the next hardest part is, honestly, financially, because when they're the best in the world, they're going to be more expensive and they're going to be less lenient. So you're going to have to put more cash up front, which means you'll be in debt for a while. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Braxton?
I think you got to be careful to not fall into the trap of perfectionism as well, because you can just constantly reiterate or like keep making little tweaks and revisions, and then you'll never get it out. Yeah. So it's like, just publish it. Don't make it perfect. Make it as good as it can be, but it's like timely is better than perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like we've talked about. We're working on something. I'll tell you in a minute. I may have already told you before. We keep referring to it as Project X, and we're working on it right now, and it's coming very soon, actually, this year. But we were talking about the other day, and it's like we've been changing this and changing that and changing this. The product itself is awesome. We all agree that it's like game changing, but then we're looking at changing like packaging up this little thing or that little thing. And I've always been a fan of like, just go get a focus group. Like, just go get a focus group of people that do not care about your brand, don't know your brand or anything, and like pay that, because you can get that done, in any city of size. We could go down to Austin and get a focus group of 10 people and have them try out this product and see what they think. So people get in their own head a lot. We're all guilty of it, probably. Last question, then we're going to take a break. How do you forecast inventory? How much inventory do you have in stock at any given time? Braxton, what about you on this?
This is something we've definitely improved on, and we're like still like it's coming to fruition now. Because we're trying to stay lean, but at the same time, like we have so many different SKUs. We got basically
explain real quick what a SKU is.
A SKU is think of it as a singular size per style. So like stock keeping unit is what it stands for. But like we have 2 different Apple Watch sizes that we have to make bands for, and then we're about to have extra small through extra large. So 5 different sizes there. So you multiply that together, you have 10 sizes on each style. So if we have 24 styles, we have 240 things to keep track of. So 240
SKUs. Yeah. So like if we have a shirt and we've got an adult small and adult medium, that's all that's in stock. That's actually 2 SKUs. Even though it's the same shirt, it's 2 SKUs. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean 240 can be exhausting to keep track of all that and to be able to time it all right, because certain sizes sell out way quicker than others. So we have to like look at the data, and then also like you have to like there's nuance to the data, because certain sizes may have sold more because of the style is more attractive to men than women, or it could have just been that we were running a really effective ad, or it could have been that we didn't one sold out. So we look at the data and it says, 200 of this size sold, but only 100 of this one. Was that because we only had 100 of that one and only 200 of that one? Yeah. So anyway, there's all this like deep science to the inventory data that is like important to nail as you grow.
So when you order a new band right now, how long do you want that to be in stock? Or is there not really any one number? You just judge the demand.
We're going for like 90 days right now. Okay. So like if we can have 90-day stock shipments, like that's the goal that we're getting to.
Yeah, it's kind of like I mean, we go back and forth with it as well. It's tough too with these launches. We do a little game in the office like the day before the launch, whenever we've got everything, like, because we've got the little web page that is private and no one can get to, but it's all set up and it's looking good before our big launch. And we'll kind of play a game within the office, like, what do you think is going to sell out first, like this or that or whatever. And Parker is definitely the best, but he should be, because he develops all the products. But it's kind of fun to like go back and forth. And it's surprising sometimes, like what you think is going to sell out and what's not. And so then when we're doing like a restock or we're doing a reorder, it's easy to be like, oh, well, this shirt sold out so fast. Like we got to restock that. But in reality, we had 25% less of that shirt. Like, did it really sell out fast, or like what was the demand there? So I would say it's one of the biggest challenges for us as a business, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. My goal has been for stuff to stay in stock at least a week on our launches. And then ideally it'd be nice if it stayed up like it depends, because like we'll do our launch organically and then we'll sell a certain amount. And then if we have, the goal is for us to have enough left over after the initial launch for then you to be able to go in and run ads on Facebook and Instagram and our different channels to be able to then go and reach new customers. And so like the ultimate goal is to like sell it to everybody who wanted it, and then also have some left over for us to be able to do ad campaigns and like get all the low hanging fruit that we can, and then not have so much left over that we can't get rid of it. So that's kind of where we're at. So I'd say like ideally it stays in stock for a month and then we run out, I'd say.
Yeah. As a marketer, it's like, this is a really hard place to work. Not because I don't love it here, but the marketing side of things is really tough, because I could go somewhere else and get a job, even in e-commerce, product marketing, and do what I do here every once in a while, 365 days of the year. And I don't want that. I want to do different things. But it's very funny because like it's tough, because the way this works for listeners is we run all kinds of email campaigns and ad campaigns, like usually about 2 weeks before the launch. So we start like letting people know like, hey, this is the launch. This is what you can expect, giving some sneak peek of products. And then I have like all these email campaigns scheduled, but then the launch happens and we have an ungodly amount of people on the website and an ungodly amount of orders. And then all of this stuff that I scheduled for post launch to push different products, it's all the products are gone. Like so I have to, an ad campaign that I worked on, I have to now just cancel. And so I've gotten better about it. Like it kind of sucks, but now I don't pre-plan all that stuff anymore, because I've just been, I don't want to say burnt because that sounds so bad. It's a good thing because we sold out of everything. But I'm like, man, I've spent so much time before on ad campaigns that we ended up selling out of all the products that we were trying to promote. So we're trying to find that middle ground. But the thing is that we're a growing company, and so it's always changing a little bit. All right, one more break. We'll be back right in a second.
What's up, guys? Thanks for listening to the Yee Yee podcast. As you may or may not know, our summer launch is June 18th. That's a Friday at 10 a.m. So as we were just talking about, we try to keep stuff in stock for at least a month, but a lot of times I'm not very good at my job and it sells out quickly. So make sure you're around your computer at 10 a.m. on June 18th. We have a bunch of awesome stuff coming out, like Hayden's hat and my hat, and men's swim trunks, which we haven't done in a while, so it's going to be fun. So check it out.
All right, y'all, we're back. We're going to roll right into it. We're going to ask, we've got some questions about social media, which I'm really excited about because that's a lot of our brand and also Braxley bands as well. So first question is really simple. What's the best way to grow your brand on social media? What do you think, Braxton?
You got to get kind of clever with like synergies of like the different platforms. So like I'll say one thing we've done that's super effective is we include a note in every order that goes out saying, post us to your story and we'll repost you to the rest of the band. And we have examples of what people do on that card. So they're like, oh, cool. Yeah. Like I'll just like snap a pic of my new band and like put it on the story. We get like 3 or 4 a day, sometimes more. And all those people aren't like mega influencers, but they all have a few thousand or 100 followers, you know. That's been, I think, a big way we've grown our platform on Instagram to the number it's at.
And you do repost everybody that does that?
Pretty much. If it's a good one.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. What do you think?
That's good. It's hard to make.
Yeah.
It's hard to like tell a story behind a watch band, and like you could easily just be like, like we're just not good at social media. Like we can't market this in an interesting way. And so, like in a lot of ways, you are a much more seasoned. I feel like that you have to be more creative in your mind versus like our mind. It's like we have a country music artist, like, and we have like a whole redneck lifestyle to be able to cater to. So I just feel so spoiled sometimes, and I feel like anybody could do my job. Honestly, it really started with Tyler would post everything off the Earl Dibbles account, and he would just post memes before they were called memes, I guess. And it was just like funny, relatable pictures of like describing a scenario in the country. And we just found that people related to that, and you were able to connect with your consumer of like a specific situation that they may be in, and they read that and they go, oh, I've been in that situation before. That's funny. That's like a funny way. Like rednecks just love making fun of themselves, but they call themselves rednecks. And so we've just kind of built on that and been able to build a community on it, and then try to balance that with also being taken seriously as a credible brand that you can trust your money with.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. I was on a call one time with someone that has another outdoor brand, kind of similar, and he kind of ticked me off because he was like, man, what I would give to have someone of Granger Smith's size just posting all about me, wearing every night on stage, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. Like it is very nice, and we'll never be able to quantify like how many. We talk about it a lot. The people that come to Yee Yee Apparel, who came from the Smiths family vlog, Granger and his family's vlog, who came from Granger's music, who came from Earl Dibbles' music, who came from Earl Dibbles' content, not even music, who came from now Parker's TikTok, now that it's blowing up, which we have had quite a few purchases from. It's crazy to think of all these different things that come to your brand from one thing, and you'll never be able to quantify. But I think that that's why if you the more things you throw up against the wall, the more chance that things are going to stick. And we talked about TikTok earlier. I mean, I'm seeing random little brands that are fixing small problems do these videos that explain their product on TikTok, and they're going viral. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do. I always tell people whenever it comes to email marketing specifically, which I love email marketing, and that's what I really geek out on. Your inbox is the best tool. Like, sign up for all the brands that you love, that you respect, that you purchase from, and see what they're sending, see what they're saying, see how they're marketing their products, see how they're speaking to their audience, because your inbox is the most valuable tool that you can ever have as a marketer. So, question for the Yee guys. This is kind of exactly what we were just talking about. How did you decide to take your social media game towards the meme route instead of other types of content? Also, where do you find all the memes that you post? So we'll answer the second part in a minute, but that's before my time, so I can't say anything. It's even before your time, as you just said. But why have we now just become this massive meme account? And how do we balance that with also pushing product and letting people know that, hey, we're not a meme account, we also sell apparel?
Yeah, I just don't think anybody cares about what you're selling at the end of the day. You have to make them care. And so, like, we could just post pictures of shirts and hats all day, but I mean, that's just not really providing any value. You're just always trying to sell something. And so the memes just came from initially with the Earl Dibbles account. Granger, not that Granger's affiliated with Earl at all. We didn't have Earl all the time. We didn't have access to him to get pictures and new content, and he wasn't always around for us to film his funny content. So we still wanted to provide value for his followers, and so we started just posting memes. And then with the Yee Yee Apparel account, it was just the same thing. I didn't want to post shirts and hats all day trying to get people to buy stuff. You can create a connection with your audience through the memes. And then really, I mean, people used to make fun of it, but I mean, it's becoming like, it's not that crazy anymore to talk about. You create a lot. You can literally create a lifestyle through the story that you tell, through your memes and the humor that you put out there.
I mean, like, look at if you're familiar with Fat Jewish, which that sounds offensive, but he's one of the OG memers. Like, he's been around the game forever, and now he's parlayed this making memes into like a wine business that's huge. He's doing all kinds of different stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, y'all are familiar with, so a lot of people are familiar with Gary Vee if you follow business self-help people. And Gary Vee had a book that's a little bit outdated now. I read it recently, but it's still got great content. But it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And so it's the whole premise of the book. But jab, 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 right hook means like if you're a boxer, imagine jab, 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 and then hitting them with that right hook that takes them down. And he talks about it from selling. And he says, give, 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 take. And so what that means is provide people with value. Like people don't just want to buy from something that they don't care about, that they're not invested in. They're not going to buy from something really that you're not providing any value for them. So that's always kind of been what memes is for us, is let's make people laugh. Let's make people not take life too seriously. Let's give them a little bright spot, even if it's just a dumb meme in the middle of the day that is going to help them. And then those people are going to feel not indebted to you, but like they're going to feel a connection with you and they're going to want to support you. Wouldn't you say?
Yep, I agree.
All right, next question. What form of advertisement has been the most effective for you to grow your brand? For us, obviously, we just talked about memes. I don't know if this is like social channel more so. I guess that's kind of what I'm taking.
I'm
I don't
interested
know.
to hear Braxton's answer for
Yeah,
this.
because
One.
ours is obvious. Memes and Instagram. Go ahead, Braxton.
Well, I'll throw out maybe email, actually. So email's like 30% of our revenue, and that's such a foundation for us because it's like it's very safe to do email marketing once you build this asset, because no matter what happens with Instagram, wherever people go, or we own our our email list, and that is really cool because that like it makes me feel a little bit better about the safety of the business. I'm like, no matter what, we can use email marketing and make revenue.
How do you build your email list? Is it just through customers, or do you do like a few different?
Yeah, it's actually really just through driving traffic, and then like that's just a second way to monetize those or recoup some of those costs from Instagram ads, right? So like sending all this traffic, we send like basically 100,000 visitors to our site a month, and so of those, how many can we capture their emails on a pop-up, and what should the incentive for that pop-up be for them to put in their email? We have another place at the bottom where we basically say, get exclusive deals plus find out when new bands drop. We are cool, I promise. And like we get a lot of people off of that. It's just like,
because no one wants to sign up for another bullcrap email list that just sends boring stuff. And y'all's emails are not boring. I always read them because they're very interesting. So yeah, people just, they want to, what Parker says it a lot. What we talk about how people buy from people, not brands, but Parker says, I remember you saying a big aha moment for you was whenever you realized that people want to like be spoken to just like they would with their friends, right? You always say something about that.
I was gonna say that about Braxton. It's like, I love the saying. I once heard someone say that marketers market one way and then they live a completely different way, because everybody just like, people think that they have to be super professional and ask in a certain way just because that's the way it's always been done. But it's like, for instance, with like, if you want to sign up for Braxley Band's email list, it's like, yeah, it could just say what every brand out there says, which is sign up for our email list to get here, like stay up to date with news. But it's just like, that's so boring. It's like, add something a little bit different. And to what Hayden was saying, it's just communicate to your customers as if you were communicating to your friends. Like, stop overthinking it and taking yourself so seriously.
Yeah, and like what you were talking about a little bit earlier, that's something that every business has to work on and always try to improve on. So like, you can have all the Instagram followers in the world, but what you should be, or TikTok or whatever, what you should be asking yourself as a business owner, as an entrepreneur is, do I have these people's info? And what I want to, and it's not to like, I mean, it's to learn more about them and to connect with them. So say you've got, I mean, look at us. We've got 560,000 Instagram followers. I'm not going to say how many emails we have, but it's a very, very healthy amount. And so what I do every day is, how can I get more of these Instagram followers to subscribe to our emails, and how can I connect with them there, and what can I learn about them more? Like, this person really has been looking at hats this month. They haven't been really looking at shirts. I probably don't need to hit them with a shirt ad. I probably need to hit them with a hat ad. We just dropped a new hat. They need to see this. They need to maybe get a day earlier than everybody else. Like, we send the email out to them. So that's what you should be thinking of as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, is how can I learn more about my customers? And you can look up all kinds of stuff. People do giveaways. People do collaborations. There's all kinds of different ways that you can do that. But be thinking of how, whenever you said own your customer info, what Braxton means by that is that if Instagram shut down forever tomorrow, he'd be fine, because he has spent time working and trying to get info on those people that follow him. You take someone that maybe just sees a meme. Like, for us, our whole goal is, you see a meme one time and then you may not follow us, and then you see it a second time and you're like, oh, that's funny. You see the third meme from us and you're like, I remember this page. I need to follow them. This meme page is funny. And then before you know it, you're in the algorithm and you're seeing our stuff all the time. And then you find out, oh, they actually sell apparel. And then we go from here looking at Instagram to now you're on our website. Maybe you don't buy the first time, but you're checking it out. 6 months later, you're purchasing. 12 months later, you're one of our top VIP customers. You're buying all the time. You're in the store at 9:55 a.m. waiting for the launch. So that's the goal as a marketer. It's obviously a little bit easier said than done, but you should always be working towards that. Question for the Yee guys. Besides NASCAR, what would you say is your company's biggest accomplishment? That's a good one, actually, because I would say that NASCAR is definitely top, like, coolest thing. But what would you say besides that?
Really, I have a boring answer, and that's, really moving to the farm, actually.
True.
Just kind of came to my mind. When we first bought the farm, I thought it was, I didn't know what to expect of it. It was like just this old drilling company with like old moldy carpets and like just outdated, like all of their old, like huge, like Dell computers were still here, and it just needed so much work. It just had big, ugly orange shelves everywhere. And it's just turned into such a blessing for the company for us to be able to host events. And then I remember walking the warehouse with Tyler, and he was like, our customer service rep will go in this office, and then our like head of media will go in that office, and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to fill all these up, and then we're going to build another one. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, there's no way we're going to do any of that. So, I think buying the farm has just been super helpful for us, because it's allowed us, it's like just been this constant reminder, having all these empty offices of like where we're going and the people that we're going to hire. So
did Tyler look at the director of media office and say, we're going to put a director of media in there?
Yeah, in this office, I believe.
So the joke there is that Brian is quite literally in a utility closet, and it's got to be like 12 square feet. No, it's not. What do you think it is, Brian?
Like 50 square feet, maybe.
12 square feet. It's tiny. And then we also put stuff in it on top of that. So Brian will be moving into this office soon. So we're excited. I know Brian's very excited for that. By the way, what's your company's biggest accomplishment, would you say?
Well, we've planted a lot of trees.
Oh,
which is
yeah.
cool to
Tell
look
people
back
about
on,
that.
like how it's been.
Wow, making us all look bad now.
No, tell people about that, because I think
Yeah,
that's such a
it's
cool
like
thing
a
that your
core
company
part of
does.
it. So, I guess it's been like a year and a half. We started working with this organization called Trees for the Future. So we're trying to figure out what we can do as like a give back model. Started realizing, okay, like we can make the switch to recycled polyester. So like let's really like push this like sustainability thing with what we're doing, because I think it just adds depth to the brand, gets people to really resonate with it more and like
Right.
want to like be advocates.
Right.
And so the other thing we realized we could do is like make something that felt really tangible, like one band sold as one tree planted, and we literally can put on the packaging, you know, like you just planted a tree essentially. So like we, you know, financially, like, so we donate to this organization with every band we sell a certain amount that plants a tree, and then what they do is like it's not just a random tree in a freaking field somewhere. It's in sub-Saharan Africa, where they're literally building like fruit trees, like regenerative agriculture. So like this stuff, when you plant a fruit tree, it actually like establishes a little microeconomy, because then they're able to go and trade that at the market, and or eat it, and it fertilizes the soil, just leading to more and more abundance with food and good quality air and soil, everything in these areas.
You're literally helping an entire economy. It's crazy. So I've always thought that's something that's really cool that you guys do. So we do like the launches, and every launch we donate a portion of all sales, which is our version of the tree thing. But I think it's so cool. Like, you can't beat that tagline, by the way. Like, one watch, like you just planted a tree. Like, that's so I mean, I know that you're doing it for good, but the marketer in me just loves that, because people, like you said, people love that they can do something tangible. It's like, I literally just planted a tree, Yeah.
All
right, last question of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for bearing with us. It's been a little bit of a long one, but I think we've had a lot of good content here and a lot of good things that y'all can take moving forward. So what is your overall goal with your company, and what's the big picture vision? I'm going to ask you that first, Parker. That's a heavy question, but it's something that we talk about often here.
I used to have a long-term vision for the company, and I know Tyler still does, and we should probably be on the same page with that. But my mindset has kind of shifted more to a short, like, I'm always in it for the long term in terms of like our product quality, and so like to never take the easy route by any means, but I don't necessarily think about exactly where we're going to be like I used to, and write down exactly where we're going to be and how many employees we'll have and that sort of thing. I'm more just focused on creating the best possible product that I can now, creating the best possible customer service experience now, and trying to innovate and be the best outdoor lifestyle brand in the world. But I wouldn't say I have a very specific long-term goal.
It's interesting, because if you ask Parker, or if you ask Tyler that, it would be a very different. That's what I kind of like about you guys, and that how y'all both coexist very well, in that Tyler's the guy that's like, this amount of revenue a year, like we're gonna buy up all the land all around us. We're gonna create like 5 warehouses. We're gonna be in every store, like all this stuff, which is obviously like we want to do all those things. But then Parker's answer is a little bit more like, not reserved, but it's you have to ask yourself, it's like, how do you get to that point? Yeah, it'd be cool to say like, we're gonna be bigger than Amazon, but it's like, how do you get there? You have to like create steps to get to that point. So what about you, Braxton?
I mean, honestly, like my overall goal with the company is to like build it to a place where I'm living like the best lifestyle that I can for myself. So like, what that really looks like is like having a lot of freedom, having, financial abundance, but also just really what it is being able to like have fun and have freedom and feel like I'm doing something meaningful. And like, it's as simple as that. So like whatever that looks like for me, and however I can do that with these watch bands, and then down the road maybe it's belts. Like, the big picture vision is like, how can I live the greatest lifestyle I can right now, and like be the most fulfilled version of myself.
Do you think that route is hiring out people to run the day-to-day operations while you take a more like bird's eye view approach, and you're able to just like be as affiliated as you want? Or do you think that's like completely selling the company and then cutting ties and then doing your own thing?
No, I think it's the first example you said, like passing off certain roles that I don't want to do and only focusing on the stuff that brings me joy and the stuff that I know I'm like best at doing. So like stuff that I feel like I have like real meaning, or like I'm called to do, like design the bands, or like, even though it can be kind of like torturous to like I'll like pull an all-nighter, like stay up to like 5 a.m. like that's when I'm like doing my best design work. Like writers are that way. There's something about like kind of being in this drowsy state where you can hit like a little level of creativity. I mean, that being said, like it constantly evolves. Like maybe I do sell the company eventually, and then like that's my favorite way of it being, or I have to take on more roles. Maybe we overextended ourselves financially, and I'm like, oh shit, we got to bring stuff back in house. So whatever it takes, to be on that path of like the ultimate lifestyle.
Yeah, Parker and I talk about that a lot. We have a lot of conversations about doing the things that bring you joy, because if you rewind about, I mean, I just know what I know my 2.5 to 3 years here, but even more so whenever Parker got here. Like, I remember when I first got here, I was like, we didn't have email marketing. Parker was doing ads, but this was like the this was like the Wild West days of ads. Like, not even, I mean, it was kind of at the end of it, but like you could just run any ad and just get insane return. You didn't have to like really had a strategy. And whenever I got here, I remember he was showing me stuff, and then it was like maybe not performing as well as it used to. And it was like very interesting time, but we were having to do like everything. Like, I was having to do like all marketing, anything that I wanted to do. It's like, yeah, cool, you got to do it yourself. And then him even more so on his side of things. So then it's been cool to like, as Ben, I can only speak to Ben, but whenever Ben came on, one of the things, like, creating content brings me joy, of course, but it's also very monotonous and there's a lot to do. And we have the Yee Yee Apparel account, but then we've got like 5 or 6 others, sub accounts that are all crushing on their own. So it's like, where can I hire someone else and teach them? And yeah, at first, this is what Parker did with me. At first, there's going to be learning curves, but then you hope, and most of the time it works this way, that person ends up just being better at you at your job, because originally you were doing so many different things. It's like, imagine if you're just getting pulled in all these different ways, you're not going to be good at the things that you really enjoy and that really bring you joy. We talk about that a lot. Like, I'm very analytical whenever it comes to like email marketing, and I love figuring out like, this person's, they've been doing this on our website and they've been interacting with us this way, and like they haven't been doing this or whatever. Like, what should I hit them with what type of email, or all these different things. I love the analytical side of things, but like I'm the opposite of you. I can't stand the creative. I just can't. I don't see the vision. It's just not how my mind works. And so part of growing as a business is learning what brings you joy and what you are truly talented at, and then, if you can, financially, like outsourcing those things or hiring other people or whatever, which we've done a little bit of both things with.
I've always gotten along with Braxton because we talk about, like, just ask ourselves why a lot. It's like, what's the purpose of all this? Like, we're not in this, we know money is not going to bring us like any more fulfillment or joy. Like, when you lay your head down at night, like, I'm not going to be any more at peace, 30 years from now than I could be right now, just be content in my own circumstance. I always remember I was having lunch with Braxton one day, and you said, I try not to think of my life in terms of like I'm off and then I'm at work. It's just like I'm just living my life, and then like what I'm doing during the day, it just changes, but it's not necessarily like I'm at work and then I'm not at work. It's just like I'm more just like living my life, if that makes sense. It sounds kind of spiritual, but I remember that just stuck with me. It's like, and it's hard for those of you out there who just hate your job, and you're in a place where like it's like, oh, it's easy for you to say, Parker, like, I'm making $8 an hour and going to this stupid gig just to make beer money. But I don't know, man. I think that we're all sled dogs and we're meant to carry a heavy load, and like part of us like is like made to work and to carry responsibility, and so in a way, I don't really know where I was going with that.
Well,
but
I think also, like, there's no, it doesn't matter what age you are. Like, there's no, like, you can do things. I mean, I know people that maybe don't want to do a different career, but at this point in their life, but they volunteer for something, for an organization that is near and dear to their heart, or whatever like that. I remember one time, I'm in like some Tito's vodka, because Tito's is actually out of Austin. I'm in some like Tito's vodka VIP club that I have no idea how I got into, and they just send me a Christmas gift every year. But I'll never forget reading the story about Tito, the guy that started it. He just distilled vodka for his friends, and they just loved it. And he had some other career. Like, he did this, I think, if I remember correctly, like in his late 30s or something. And he said his therapist told him to take out a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle of the paper. And at the top, on one side, write the things that you're talented at, and on the other side, write the things that you love, and write as many as you can, and see where they intersect. And therein lies like what you're meant to do and where you're supposed to find meaning. And I've never, there was a little booklet that was included, and it already had it drawn out. And I remember doing it, and that's always stuck with me. It's like, find out what you're passionate about and find out what you're talented. what your talents are, and then therein lies like what you're supposed to be doing. So that's always stuck with me. Got anything else, boys? That was pretty heavy to end the
great.
episode.
Heck yeah.
I don't think we've really gotten like too heavy on an episode. This is, by the way, this is not the Granger Smith podcast, because that's all Granger's podcast is, very heavy and like deep talks. We just mess around.
Good
Well,
stuff.
thank you so much for joining us, Braxton. That was awesome.
Thank y'all for having me on. This is great.
By the way, Yee Yee, code Yee Yee at braxleybands.com gets you 20% off. Remember. What
Yeah.
you got?
Yeah. No, that's all I got. That's good.
All right.
Cheers.
See you guys next week.
See ya.
Eat your veggies.